What's up, pinball people? So I just wanted to give you an update, just kind of, I know everybody hasn't seen all my work over the last 5 years, so I just kind of want to open that up to everybody so they can understand what my company is, what I'm trying to do and accomplish here. So I'll just read this little tiny statement and then we're just going to go through a bunch of stuff. So I actually decided to build a pinball machine company, honestly, because I was bored. This is a brain dump of just a tiny portion of work and knowledge I've gained over the years. I estimate I have around an entire year's worth of full-time work, but that's spread out over 5 years. I lost an entire year with COVID. I switched jobs from one video game company to another video game company. So I moved all the way to Florida. I downsized to a tiny apartment. I couldn't cut wood and stuff. I didn't have a garage, any of that stuff. So I lost an entire year. So when I say 5 years, it's honestly, it's more like 4. I started with 0.00% pinball knowledge 5 years ago. I never played a single game that I could ever remember before that time. All of my work was pretty much done without ever owning a machine, almost 100% of it. So yeah, let's just get into it. So I started, I got into pinball. The company I worked at, they bought a Bally Escape from Lost World, as you can see there. It's a pretty cool game. What happened is it would break down all the time, so we'd call a pinball technician to come out. They pay him, I don't know, like $100 just to come out and take a look, service, up the price, whatever. So it seemed like almost every 2 weeks or once a month, this thing needed maintenance. Nobody knew what's going on, so they just slap an out of order, and it's like, damn, what's going on? And I just really started to dive into pinball machines. Like, why is this thing broke, right? Like, I know it's running on software that does stuff. Again, didn't know anything about the mechanical stuff going on in there. I didn't know what a solenoid was. I knew a little bit about DC motors and stuff from college. We learned some things. So anyway, the beginnings, you can see here's my apartment. This is May 23rd, 2019. This is just a whole mess of stuff. My wife had to put up with this. Here's just more parts and stuff spread out on my desk. You'll see one of my original circuit boards right there with LED segments. So I had written some software to control that output score digits. So my plan was originally just kind of have a small score system like that, not all this LCD stuff. Again, so when I was originally looking at my price point, it was going to be like pre-COVID prices. I was looking at honestly like $1,200. That may or may not have been sustainable, honestly. When you look at what the bill of materials I was looking at, I was doing way different woods like MDF. I was cutting back on a lot of things. So I really, that price, it probably should have been $1,800. So then I started Pinball Eternal, went up to like $1,800. I've been adding new features over and over again. Anyway, one other thing you'll see real quick on my table there is another circuit board that I built there. That was my first board. You see there's a bunch of shift registers and there's a bunch of MOSFETs already built in, and then there's a PIC32 chip right on there. So this company was incepted. It was created on January 5th, 2019. I was just going through my old expense forms. The first wire I bought to wrap my first coil was 2 days after that, a 26 gauge coil I built. And then about a week after that, I ordered those boards that you just saw there. So I've been at this for some time, and that's the beginnings of my company actually to date. This right here is what I call the band hammer. You see this in another famous pinball game. It's a feature I've never actually seen in real life on that game because I've never seen the premium edition. I've only seen the pro model of that. But anyway, if you see, you hit the ball into the hole, hits you down, and if you look under there, you'll see there's a track where the ball goes down and goes to the lower playfield. Originally what that was going to be is a hammer that drops down like that. It was going to hit a zombie, and let me play it one more time. So yeah, it was going to hit the zombie, and he was just kind of going to react, and you were just going to just smash the heck out of this zombie. I have the original hammer right here. It's all 3D printed and painted by me. And then here was the original part. It was very hard. I really wanted him to kind of just like react like this, and just like he slammed down and just his arms fly up. But dude, I spent probably 30 hours just on that part, and I finally just gave up and I said, I can't do this. So if you actually watch that, that is, I think that was actually running on the coil. I don't remember if I was doing that by hand or not. Anyway. If you didn't see, I put out a thing called the Pinball Editor on my YouTube channel. So basically what this was, I recreated, and I bought the Foo Fighters game last year. I basically took the whole thing. You can actually see I just hit a drop target and knocked down. So I built an entire thing in my game engine. This took me about 6 hours. I took the whole playfield, took the art, threw it in. I created slingshot logic, all this stuff. My flippers. It's really nice having the game in real life, because when you're testing your pinball physics virtually, you can kind of go back to the game and go, yeah, I've played these shots so many times. I know exactly how they're supposed to feel. So it's about 90% there with the physics feel. And then you'll see here in real time, I can just start adding slingshots. I can add pop bumpers. I can add those metal rails. You can just drag them and stretch them, and it'll just stretch it. So the idea with that is this would be the beginning of my custom shop editor, where when you're dragging these parts and just taking a piece of steel and dragging it out, that data gets saved as a data format in my video game engine. So it'll say, hey, there's a metal rail that goes from here to here, and it's 10 inches long. Boom, it goes right out to my software that controls outside, cuts steel, all that stuff. And then, yeah, we just start putting together the game for you if you had a custom shop. So I just play some pop bumpers. You can see them getting hit there. So the idea with this software, ideally, is you basically make your entire game. You can program it all, plug and play, drop everything around. You just click export. It comes to me. I can load all your images, all your graphics and whatnot on my end. I can print them out. And then also all that data, because it's in my game engine, I know every single point, and I can just take that and put it into my CNC machine, which I'm going to show you now. Right, so this is a CNC machine I actually built completely from scratch. It's running, again, on all of my own hardware and all my own software. So basically you take all this stuff from my game engine, translates literally right to that CNC, and it can cut that entire playfield out. It knows where every single pop bumper is, everything, every single thing, every single hole. So it'll finish, you swap a new drill bit, cut a new hole, etc. Here was another thing. So this is kind of when I was just kind of, I've been working on the CNC for a little bit of time on and off to, kind of fine tune it. So that was just a graphic I made and drew in Blender 3D. Took all the vectors and just drew a little pin side graphic. That was, I don't know the date on that, a couple years ago. So I just upgraded my CNC with a new part that I designed. Again, it's an entire CNC built by me. I wanted it exactly to fit in my garage and take up no more space than what I would need to cut a playfield. That's why I built it custom. Other stuff I've looked at, so when you're starting a pinball company, it's pretty smart to look up all the patents that exist from other companies. So I'll just give you an idea. I've looked through so many of these. This is hours of time. One that I came across, you'll see this is the Jurassic Park pinball machine by Stern. They actually have a patent on that little, if you've ever played the game, there's a Jeep there. When you hit the ball, it hits a ball in the back of the Jeep, and then the Jeep just spins in a circle. So they have a patent for that. Nobody else can do that. I think it's kind of lame, honestly. Elon Musk is giving away, a ton of patents and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I just don't know why you would prevent another game designer. I have no interest in patenting any gameplay features. Like, if somebody's got a job to work at another game company and they want to make a fun game, if I can't beat them or we can't share profits in the market because, a little ball that you can hit, this is just not who I am. Let's see. Okay, I skipped around, it looks like a little bit here, so I'm going to just show these. These were Pinball Eternal hands that I was working on. They were supposed to go over the 2 scoops, and then you would hit it into one scoop, and then it was going to go like this. You'd hit another scoop, and then like that. So that would activate the main biomech boss on there. So I had a guy, I paid about $100 to do a little prototype of this rubber, and then all the internal workings was mine. So this one, I think it's just an old one that's not rigged up right, but it was basically going to have a coil, pull it down, do the heavy metal horns, and then stay locked. Like I said, I wanted to animate all the shots, so I kind of went back to these static ones. And honestly, I might even just delete one of those scoops because I think I can put a more interesting shot in there. So I'm always evolving still. Until I ship this game and get it done and put the trailer out, I can do whatever I want. I haven't been able to focus on the game design all the time because this has been a big R&D project. So here's a PDF. Again, I didn't know anything about pinball hardware or circuitry at all. I didn't really know the difference between transistors and MOSFETs. I blew up so many of these things. I'd poke them, I'd prod them, crank different voltages, crank different amperages, and really just go through and figure this out on my own. So here is a power MOSFET. I think it's a kind of IRF 540. I think Stern uses this right now in my game. I'm not sure. So you'll see one thing here, like you learn, the ambient to junction temperatures, so how much wattage you can put between how much it's going to heat up without like a heat sink on it. You'll see the gate voltage here. You know, you have to apply enough voltage for this to take something. So here you got, if you give it 10 volts, you can pull up to 17 amps. So you can kind of calculate your temperature per watt, and then you'll see here it says 0.077 milliohms, 77 milliohms. So that's actually not the greatest MOSFET in the world, but anyway, this is all stuff that I've had to read. This, if you just scroll this whole sheet, and then one other thing that's really important here, which is called the RDS on of a MOSFET. You will read this graph here. If you only give it 4 volts, which would be like a logic level, you can see right here, if you give it, oh god, 4.5 volts and then 10 to the 1. You can just basically calculate on how much, how powerful of a coil you can pull. So if you're only going to give it 4.5 volts, but you're going to pull a 4.5 ohm flipper solenoid, which is going to be like 700 watts or so, and you only give it 5 volts, it's going to just completely blow up. So you got to be at about 10 volts or so, and you can see this graph. It goes up really high. If you can go to 10 volts, you can go way up here. 4.5, you'll see it tapers off. It can't do anything. That MOSFET is going to explode. So I can tell you everything about this data sheet, and I don't even know anything about MOSFETs. This is just me reading stuff on the internet and learning how to do all this stuff. And that's what I've had to do to start this company. So yeah, I blew up a lot of parts, had to learn a lot of things. Again, I talked about the Stern patents. There's other ones out there from other companies, so it's just something that I browse all the time. If you look at another board, I posted a lot in the thread about this right here. So there's this JJP fully populated IO board. I did a deep dive on pin side into this. My analysis of this was basically, if you look at it right here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, if I counted right. There's 11, I would assume those are shift registers there. 11 times 8, that's 88. So I'm assuming there's 44 on the top, 44 on the bottom transistors. So there's 88 total MOSFETs in here. There's a controller chip on there, etc. A couple capacitors. At the time, I used to be able to get those for like $3. After COVID, it's about 5. There's some, what do you call those? I can't think of the name off my head. I'm just going too quick. So anyway, I can tell you what I could build that board for and all the parts on it. One of the things people were confused about is like micro ohms, milliohms, blah 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 blah. I'll just tell you, the first flipper that I ever built, I had a lot of resistance in my chain from the power supply into my coil and then back out, which was probably up to 5 ohms. So I can tell you, if you have a full 5 ohm flipper, even maybe at 23 gauge instead of 22, that flipper will still hit very hard. So the idea that there's some micro resistance in there that's really causing flippers not to be hitting as hard, that's not my experience and what I've learned. I believe that 100% it's the capacitors in there that make that those flippers hit harder. Other competitor boards, let's go ahead here. So I'm going to pull this up. You can see some photos here of another brand. It's a very inexpensive board. I can definitely appreciate the design and the price. I bought this board I think a year ago. So again, I didn't really have all these parts on hand to take apart and reverse engineer. But you can see the part there. One of the MOSFETs, it just gets automated by a machine and soldered on. It's the NCE P013 5AK. It is a MOSFET, can pull 35 amps. It's 19 cents. So you can kind of get an idea of what a board costs. For me, as I've said before, what my boards cost, I have like 55 coils. That's the main part that drives a coil. Capacitors, fuses, and then inputs and whatnot. So I've already talked about what my pricing would be for that. I still have that board actually right here on my desk just for now. Let's go, parts design. So this was actually a place called Design to Part. It's a trade show, so I went there. I visited a ton of circuit board manufacturers in the U.S., metal cutting, metal stamping, rubber parts, screw parts. Like if you're gonna go to Home Depot, you can buy a lot of screws bulk. But you can get a little bit cheaper if you go to an actual manufacturer like Everbuilt. So that's, I've had times where I've gone and reached out to these people just to save, I don't know, a couple pennies or whatever on screws. You might as well, you're gonna put a lot of screws in the game, save a couple bucks per game. Why not? let's see, DIYer. So DIYer, I found out about this. This is a wire bender. I actually reached out to a pinball company directly in 2019. They told me that they're using this DIYer, that it makes all of their wire forms. At the time, you can see their Kickstarter was like $2,500. I can tell you right now, they're charging like 18 to 20,000 bucks. So that's not an attainable product that I can buy. I don't even think for 2,500. But certainly for not for 20 grand, and they weren't willing to work with me either on the price. So it's kind of annoying that they jacked their price up. I think they got bought out by another company. But they had a bunch of ideas before this that they posted R&D wise, so I might actually take some of those and then build my own wire bender. But in the meantime, because I'm poor, you'll see my wire form in my original alpha video. It does actually have some curve, so I've devised like a proprietary way to actually bend by hand certain ways around and build wire forms. I tried welding them before. I don't like welding. I hate it. You got to really have stainless steel, and you got to have a TIG welder, as far as I'm concerned, to make high quality pinball wire forms. So I'm just doing what other people have done. It's basically the same design that I came up with, where you kind of just snap them in there. Yeah, you just snap the wire forms together and a little bit of glue and just hold it right in there. I've never had an issue with it. What else do we got? So I've helped a few people like on Pinside. They'll have issues with their games. I helped the Beavis and Butthead guy. He's made a couple games now, and he's honestly kicking my ass because he keeps going to trade shows. He's showing off better games than me because I'm kind of in this stage behind where I got to do a lot of other stuff just to get this game out there and then looking good and then performing properly. So anyway, I was just saying, he reached out to me a couple times. Hey, you know, my flippers are blowing up. I just need someone to talk to and bounce ideas. Stuff like that. He needed a 3D printed part for designed for his Beavis and Butthead game. And he knows I can do 3D stuff really quick, so I think this took me a couple, like maybe 5-10 minutes. Throw it back to him. He's like, oh, you know what? Actually, can you do it like this way? I'd rather have it this way. So, sure, fix it, give it to him. Like, I don't care. Like, if he's pushing out better games than me, it's whatever, dude. I'm gonna get there at some point. I'm just trying to help people out. So now we're going into some other R&D type stuff. So this was kind of the original idea for the 4 spike sequence. You'll see that pop up in my game. That's actually the second design I came from. This is what I wanted it to be. I called it like the earthquake thrall effect. It's an effect from a video game. And then I was thinking to have it hit that spike and animate like it really, like it's giving it like an uppercut or some kind of animation. Here's another one from the side and just what it looks like. Let's see. Thrall, MOSFET, vertical upkick assembly. I don't have the video for this, but I wish I did. This is a photo of a vertical upkick assembly that I built. Again, I build everything in-house. I've been doing it for a long time. You can see it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It goes about 12 inches high, which is pretty cool. So I've been testing powers. Like, you have to put the plunger rods different heights and different coil sizes to really figure out what's going to optimize kicking balls all around and up and down. So it's like, it takes a lot of time to build those parts and then screw them in and move them around and then kind of figure out like, okay, if the thing's in this far and then it kicks it versus like here and then kicks it, you know, how high can you get it to hit that ball? Wish I had the video for that, but I don't. Let's see. So this is just something I found out the other day. This was really stupid. So I have a wire crimper. It ended up being the wrong size for the wire I'm using. It only goes up to 22 gauge. A lot of my logic level stuff goes on 26 gauge. So just by buying that part on the yellow, the hand tool, I can crimp wires and connect them and plug them in way easier. It saves me about 50% of the time because I have to do some extra stuff if I'm going to manually make my cable assemblies. Still not sure if I'm going to do them in-house or not. I've talked about people that can do auto strip and crimping, and if that's even a fairly high price, I think the fact that I can get it all automated and done is going to save me a lot of time, that I can keep my price exactly where it's at. I'll take a little bit less profit, but I think I'll be able to crank out a lot more games and keep the same price. Let's see, so I've done so much stuff. here is me reaching out to people. So I opened up my Stern game. I looked at the back of the LCD. I looked at the part number. I reached out to all those people. And they're all built in China, all the LCD panels. So I've reached out to tons of places. I just wanted to take note of this circle here. It says, hey, just letting you know the G156 BGE, blah, 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 is EOL, which means end of life process. So I don't know if anybody else knows this, but I know this. The current, at least for the Stern Foo Fighters, that LCD model is going to be end of life, and it's going to have a new manufacturer part number at some point down the road. Again, here's just more emails. Here's just so many panel companies I've reached out to, different panels. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, how I want to do it. And then here's another one, just more stuff, panels. Trying to get quotes for units and get them shipped, see what the price actually is of Stern's pinball LCDs. I just showed this the other day in my last video. Again, this is a scoop assembly. This is one I've taken a long time to build. Do I have any other information about this? Not really. So anyway, I just throw the ball in. This is how I test my parts. Throw it in. I think on this specific night, I did it about 2,000 times. Took me an hour, so just throw the ball in there, make sure my parts work. I still have a ton more to do with that. I can tell you back in December of 2023, so we're talking 3 months ago, one of the parts in that scoop freaking broke, dude. I think I was 1,000 parts in and it snapped, and I went, dang, dude, because that was about the 8th revision of that part I've built. And that was a major blow. So I finally went, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to do this other way. And I just put it in there, and that's what it's running on. And I don't think it's ever going to break because it's all metal. And I'm really hoping that that one lasts long term. If for some reason it doesn't, you know, again, with a pinball company that's affordable, I think one thing that people miss is I'm trying to just get the cheapest product that works for a specified time that I deem warrantable, right? I don't know what that is right now. I have a minimum, right? I want at least nothing to break for 1,000 games. If this is going to go in someone's house and maybe a part breaks that's like I can replace and send to you for a cost of under 10 bucks, I think 10 bucks maintenance every year or two is not that bad, maybe 20 bucks, but I honestly don't know because I'm not done warranty testing, and I think I'm going to far exceed any expectations that I have. But when you're talking about a cheap pinball machine company like that, again, I'm doing whatever I can to get the product out that works. Everyone can have a good time with it. And, you know, maybe you have to replace something every once in a while. Every machine breaks down that's out there anyway. So we're going to see. I'm going to put a number on it, and I'm going to tell you when you buy my game under warranty for whatever amount of years, 2 years, the cost to replace this is this much, this much, this much, this much, and you're going to get a good deal on parts. Oh, man, let's see. This is just a thing. I'll try and maybe post another picture of where this goes in the game. But this is like a little mini game. It's a segmented display I built. It costs a couple bucks. It was just something in there. It's like a bomb diffuser, so you kind of set the codes, and while it goes really quick, if you hit it at the right time, you basically unlock the code and you get a jackpot and stuff happens. Again, this is my own design. It's super cheap to build, and just a part I built. Here's another one. This is a 14 segment display. Mine is on the left. It was a fire LED. I wanted it to be like a heavy metal look. Very crazy looking. The one on the right, that part actually cost $14. The one on the left, I built in-house. I could actually build it better now because I can make it in a circuit board. Right now it has lights behind it. So you're talking about like under $1 with manual labor to build that part on the left versus the one on that side. I swear it was 14 bucks. If not, it's at least 9. So yeah, I've been doing that, and then I'm not even using that actually in the end of the day because that's another part that I designed, and then I ended up just going in LCD at the end of the day. So a lot of the R&D people don't realize is just going to stuff getting thrown out the door. Steel rods. Okay, so this is an important one here. So this is a video of me making what would be basically the core component of everything in a pinball game. So I'm just cutting steel rods, I'm putting it through and just cutting them to size over and over again. When I first did this, I was using a steel blade that was terrible. Taking me like a minute to cut these the right way, and sparks would go crazy all over the place. I've tested different saw blades. This is the one I go with. Again, you can see just how quick that I'm cutting stuff. You're talking about like a couple seconds per part. This is where it's going to get really interesting for people, so listen up. Again, if you time it, it's about 2 seconds apart. So then we're talking about parts and labor and building an affordable pinball machine company. So if you go to 5/16 inch steel, which is what everybody uses in pinball machines to kick plungers, rods, flippers, all this stuff that gets magnetized that hits the ball. I don't think I've seen anything that's not 5/16 of an inch. But if you buy that, if you buy 144 inches of 5/16 inch steel that you just saw there, it's $27.76. If you, I don't remember how I did this. That's per, I think that's per inch. So it's 19 cents per inch. So if I have to cut a flipper rod that's 2 inches, it's going to be 19 cents times 2. If you go to expand this and buy 144 inches times 10, you're looking at $142.10. It's 10 cents an inch. So it'd be 20 cents a part. And you just saw how fast I can cut a part. Boom, steel, cut. I don't know how people are doing it when they are manufacturing these straight out of the other factories, but I mean, if you're buying a piece of steel, you have to either laser cut it, you're going to water cut it, or you're going to do what I just did there, which is working perfectly fine for me. So, you know, you can use that to build parts like this. This is a vertical upkick thing. This is $12. I just showed you I built a part. Now there are some other components there. So this is kind of the makings of, if you look on there, what this looks like. This is not an actual final design, but this is just one that I had before. So you can see I have a plastic spot right here. I have a way to connect it and a way to connect the bottom as well. So you can see the beginnings of that part. So if this is 20 cents and I got to pay somebody, you know, to cut a piece of steel and glue a couple things, whether it's me or whoever, you're talking about the beginnings of that part. Also, I wanted to point out, I talked about 5/16 inch steel rods. I use, well, first of all, here's the 4 parts I just cut right here. They're all cut to size. I magnetize these to do stuff, kick the ball around, make flippers. I also use other sizes too, right? So depending on what toy I'm kicking around, like if I want a coil that's going to be on all the time, that's going to fire off, well, it's got to be a coil that's it's got to be a, how do I say this? It's got to deal with the heating, so it can't be really thin. It's got to be thick, right? So it's got to be able to handle enough wattage to be pulling through it. But if you have a small toy and you don't want it to be kicking too hard and breaking around, you know, you can magnetize parts that aren't as heavy and don't have as much as an impact, right? So you're going to magnetize different things depending on what you're doing. Also, I magnetize even little steel galvanized roofing nails. If you watch my original video where the zombie is hanging, he gets shook like that. That is actually what is going on there, is I'm magnetizing that. So I'm going to show you that actually here, right? So if I were to build all those zombie parts, this is Home Depot galvanized steel nails. For $4.98, you can buy 269 of those. So that is 1 penny, just about 2 cents per part. There's no manual labor involved. Basically connect another piece to it, what I call an inverted coil sleeve. I call it an inverted coil sleeve. Put it in there, never wears down, and that part costs 2 cents. If it ever needed replaced, I mean, guys, do the math on there. If I'm going to give you a new part, I'm going to charge you maybe $1 in shipping or something, maybe $2 if I'm being greedy. Let's see, was there anything else here? No. So here again, I showed these off in one of my videos, which I guess is what angered somebody for some reason, but the one on the left here, I just want to take a note that it's not populated. So this board is like a couple bucks. I didn't populate it because I haven't tested it. It didn't make sense to populate every single thing on it. So that's just a bare board that I'm going to put a chip right in the center there. I'm going to program it. There's little data lines there where you can program it. It's going to run all my code in there. And then I'm going to just test all the stuff on there and make sure it works. That I don't think I'm going to use for a while. I might use it for my second game. I'm not sure. Right now, because I have a bottom playfield, it's hard to fit all these components and different things around. I'll tell you, my game right now has 8 flippers. So if I were using off-the-shelf flippers, it's very hard to cram 8 flippers into a game. And with a lower play field, like a big piece like that, there's nowhere to put that big thing. So I have all these smaller boards here on the side that are componentized, and they're going to just be kind of screwed in where they can fit, and then they plug in, and then they plug into different lights. They plug into each other, and they chain all across the play field. Everybody's doing that. I mean, you can see how people wire up pinball machines. This was an observation. Somebody on a pinball forum, his name was Trey, he pointed me to this, so I did a deep dive. The funny thing is well, it's actually cool, honestly. I came to the same idea. I've seen some other people. One of the newer companies is just taking like a normal daisy chain of LEDs that you would buy off the shelf, cut, and then put in a game. I might do that at some point, but this is what I came up with, and you can see my light board on the left there for my back box, and then their light board that they came up with, and then here's just a speaker amplifier that we both used. So, you know, you're solving the same engineering problems. It's always fun to talk to engineers and learn new things. Posted this once before. Dude, I got burned on this the other day. So you're talking right in January when I'm like trying to really get a lot of throughput through my game. I hit a button while I'm programming all my code, and I hit optimize code. What it's supposed to do, I was wanting to see how fast that would make my code run faster on my board so that I get a better frequency. I can check switches and do different things quicker. What happened is behind the scenes, this program I used to program my little microcontrollers here, right? What happened is it completely blew away parts of my code. So you can see here on the left, I just sit there and kind of like spin cycles, and I'm waiting for something to happen. I'm just waiting so that I can read something later. I'm waiting for some electricity to flow through my circuitry so that I can read an opto, an infrared beam, like, you know, if you think your TV remote, right? So I'm waiting for this thing to get enough power, enough electrons to hit it to power up this opto. What happened is when I did this optimization code, it deleted that wait statement. All of that thing to wait until the electricity flows, it deleted, and you can see on the side here what it did is it just turned it into a couple instructions, and then just right away started reading and getting all these bad errors. And you know, that sucks. You're talking, I think I got like 2 hours of work each day for 3 consecutive days, and it took me like 6 hours just to figure that out. So I burned 3 days of my time, and this is on my own spare time. You'll see other things here. This has never been shown, but I had to learn how to cast epoxies and different resins. So this is actually, actually let me show you the guy real quick. So here's the guy in 3D. This was a part of a video game I was building myself. He was going to be a boss. Like if you think of the old Contra games, you were going to shoot at this guy and he was going to animate. And you can see his eyes there. They're really crazy orange. So I wanted to recreate that guy for my Pinball Eternal game. And you can see the eyes here. I cast those. I learned about all of these castings. I actually have LEDs inside it that are molded inside that stay in there. And actually the secret to get them orange like that was turmeric. The spice. So I took some turmeric from my counter here. I pour it in epoxy, whip it up, let it sit. So I had to learn how to get like silicone molds, cast those, and whatnot. And you can see the teeth here are kind of bad. I don't even know if this is the one in my machine right now, but the teeth are done really horribly. That was a really fast 3D print. I just wanted to get it done. So that is not a representation of what I want to ship with. So here is me just running a flipper, telling it to turn on every 300 milliseconds. So it turns on every three times a second, I mean. So what I used to actually do with this is I would have code out there on a timer, and I think it would go, I want to say 1,000 times. So you got to do the math on there. It's going 3 times a second. It wants to go 1,000 times. I think it was like maybe 10 or 15 minutes. So out in my garage, man, I closed all the doors because you could hear it. It would just sound like you know, there's not the glass and everything right there to soundproof the game. So you just hear bang, 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 bang. It sounded like someone was just hammering away all day. And I would just let that run, stop, and then I tally it and say, okay, well, my flipper is working this much, my coil stop, all that stuff is working that amount of times. So it's like 1,000, check mark it. And then what I come up with these like graphs. So here's what you can look, again, one of those steel parts that I bought, that I made. I was estimating how many times a player's hit, like I was watching pro players just to see how many times they would hit a game, how many times I also hit a game. And I would time out like, well, how many games can this really get? Because again, I'm trying to figure out, what I can warranty for. So I started looking at this. You can see after 125 games, this was really getting smashed. I'd have to look at my Foo Fighters one to really see what it looks like now and how many games I have. But it was getting pretty smashed up, and the reason for that actually is my coil was pretty long, right? So these were not, I was not building these to any spec. Again, I never owned any game to reference. I don't really know actually what I came up with for the size on that, because I don't even think I had the flipper assembly here. I don't know that I owned one. So I just came up with kind of a length, and then if your coil length, let's say, is this long, and you have that piece up here and it's pulling really far, and that's a long piece, right? So that means, all right, my phone died. So anyway, what I was saying is it's pulling it like really far through the coil, so it's got a really long distance. Its velocity gets really crazy and then slams really hard. If you're more like in here halfway, it's just kind of going like that, and it's really strong and gets it. So from what I've learned, again, I don't know who built all this stuff in the first place, but I mean, they did a pretty good job, right? Or they, again, I'm not trained in any of this stuff, so they probably just knew it by heart, but you pretty much want your plunger rod to be halfway in and when it kicks in. Here's another one, so that was 25,000 hits. Here's 40,000 hits, which I estimated might be 200 games. I want to say coil stops 1,000. Is that about right? I don't know. Again, this is my first game out here. I'll go take a look and take a look online what people say. Here is some custom inlay work, so I'm just going to give that away. So this is a proprietary idea for doing inlays. There's not actually any light or epoxy or whatever cast thing that you're going to hammer in and then clear coat over. So I just cut right into it. I put something over top of it to diffuse, and then I put my graphics over it. So I can cut arbitrary shapes. I can write words into it. I can do all kinds of stuff. So you're going to see some really cool lighting and different effects going on. I have an upper playfield called the Torturatorium. It's a name of a band's song. And it's going to be called the Torturatorium, and it's going to look really crazy and cool looking. Inlays, t-shirts. So there's other stuff. I mean, there's just so much stuff I've done. T-shirts right here. These are some t-shirts I made. I had them here earlier, but just even learning like how do you make a t-shirt, or where do I get t-shirts from? I bought some from some places to sell. Just again, this is just to make a few bucks when I go to trade shows. It pays off the trade show booth I have. I've made some decent money on shirts, whatever. But yeah, just I bought some that didn't work out, that sucked, and then I had to spend time investigating other companies. I found one that's really good. I bought a t-shirt press because I needed a t-shirt press for those. So those are just pressed on, and they're really good quality. I like those a lot, and that's a company I would definitely respect. I really like their quality. Let's see, t-shirts. Next, here is a Foo Fighter style ball lock. As you can see, the ball, it just goes straight up the playfield. That's the one that's going to hit the main zombie boss. You can see it gets caught. The two things that come up are they're non-traditional. They're like if you've ever seen like a punk rock bracelet or whatever where they have studs and spikes. That's what you're seeing right there where the ball hits it. I've talked about it before. So originally, I think I just had the flipper power down maybe or something. This was just getting lucky that it hit in there at the time. But when I first did it, it's like, okay, it works, you move on. And then later on down the road, you start hitting it dead on and it's not catching the ball. It's too slow. So you got to figure out what's going on. There's a lot of stuff that at play that you got to make sure is perfect. That eats up time, perfecting something like that. So that's another one of my mechs in my game. It's all built by me. I got more. I'm not going to show, I don't think, any more today, but that's one of them. T-shirts, cardboard boxes. So other things that I've had to research. Obviously, if you're going to ship pinball games, you need boxes to ship them. So again, this is just an email to somebody. Hey, I'm looking for cardboard boxes. It's a local company. You don't want to be shipping cardboard across the U.S. so that you can pack them. You want hopefully someone local. Reached out to a few companies. This guy was pretty cool, and he said he would help me out and pretty much just let me come pick it up and pick them up out the back door. This is just yesterday, the last couple days, 2 or 3 days, I've been getting into trying to figure out if I can cut costs on the artwork on the cabinet. So I've been reaching out to a couple large format printer companies. I have a different kind of way to print. It's worked for me. It's been out in my garage for years. It's been standing the test of time, sawdust, all that stuff. So doing something a little bit different. I don't have a comparison, but I actually like it. the way it looks. It's more vivid and it's less dimply than one of the games I own. You'll just kind of have to wait to see what that looks like, but I actually like what I'm doing. I think it's better than what's out there. Man, I've been talking about tempered glass since 2019. This is like 5 months into my company. I've talked to a lot of companies since then. I moved to Florida, so I've talked to more companies. I can tell you during COVID, you could not find a piece of tempered glass anywhere. And so that led me to go the route that what Turner was doing, right? He was going to do plastic on the top. Everybody seemed to hate it. I don't know why, because actually that plastic I've tested, it holds up really well. What was I going to say though? It's also cheap to replace. You can get plastics from anywhere. I don't know if I'm going to do glass or not yet. It's heavy. I still don't like it because it's heavy. But at the time you couldn't do it, so I go, man, if I'm going to launch a company in the next year, I need to know what product I can even use. I couldn't get tempered glass, period. So that made me look into doing a plastic top. That's the only reason I started looking into that. Again, with plastics, my playfield top is all just a plastic sheet. There's other companies doing it. It sounds like everybody's actually kind of doing something different between the options of plastics out there. So I have gone through a bunch of them. I'm going to try and pull a video if I can find it again where you can see me testing different plastic sheets, seeing what ones hold up the best. I can tell you the one I was going to go with, it got scuffed up a lot, but it was easy to polish later. And I think that was actually a really good method, except it's not strong enough. I had a crack after like a year. The ball just did something and cracked. I'm like, you know what, I don't want to use this product. So I'm on to a different product now. Let's see, plastics. I'll go into some random stuff. I skipped the Eternal stuff, so let's go into that. So here is a brain that I showed. I showed this in a prior video, but this is the mother brain. You'll see it in my original design. Let me pull up the design here. So this is the design of my game. Again, it's a little bit different from this, but the lower playfield, if you see down in the back there, there's a little like mother brain looking thing. So here's like the UV light of how he kind of pumps blood. As you hit him more times and do damage, he goes a little bit more crazy. Again, from video games, I want to be a little bit more animated. Then this is one of my DNA tubes on that lower playfield that pops up and down. So this is a custom mech. That's me just pulling it to lift it up, but obviously there's a coil in there now that does it automatically. And I'll show you those tubes look like this. So they have a UV like DNA looking helix thing in there. So when they pop up, they look really cool. Other things, I had this fire effect. Man, I spent how many hours? I don't know. I probably sunk another 30 hours just into this. This is a part I bought off the shelf. I wanted this in my game, but that was just something I threw on last minute before a trade show. And I wanted it to be across the entire bottom playfield there, which is small. But then I expanded my bottom playfield to be this big, massive, really cool playfield. I wanted that whole playfield to just light up like fire, dude. It would look so cool, but I R&D'd the heck out of that thing, and it eventually just never came to fruition. So that's 30 hours just gone out the door since my alpha video when I posted. So when people are thinking I'm not doing work, dude, I'm throwing away things that are really cool. I still would love to put that fire effect maybe in the, what do you call it, the back box. If I can get it there where the speakers are or something, that would be really cool, but I don't see it. I'll maybe do something with it somehow. But yeah, it sucks to cut features that you spent so much time on. So I'll just show you a couple other things. Again, from my other expertise, I'm a video game developer. I'm a 3D artist. Here's just a couple projects I worked on. So let's just go through some artwork. Here's an X-Wing fighter I made. I made that entirely from scratch. Just some different little things. This was called the monster something, I don't know. Anyway, that was somebody's idea, and then I made it into 3D. Here is some Star Wars stuff. Here's a little alien model I made. Some guns. Centipede dude. Actually, somebody else made that model. I just textured it, by the way. Going back in time when I was just a freshman in college, I was making this game like this with these goofy characters. I've been just keeping my time busy all the time. So here's like a terrain rendering demo. If you're a software engineer in games, you'd understand it, but I'll blow it up here maybe. Um, what you'll see here is just a technique to render engines, and it patches in and does all this really cool stuff. Here's this thing called Good Guys demo. This was a game demo I built in college. It's kind of junky, but when you're just, you're not really a professional, you're doing, this is all my own code. It's all my own game engine. I'm running around animating characters. That's all my 3D math to make these bones move and stuff. I'm shooting these little guys. I called it like a Pixar game. Anyway, I had all these fire effects. You could go around, get in like turrets. You could shoot people and do different things. So you're kind of like, these alien guys are invading the town and whatnot. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. This is an actual important feature I wanted to show off. So this is an Android game that I made. It was networked online. So I could hook up a phone to my website. So when you said, I want to play a multiplayer game, it went right to my personal website. Put an entry in there. Another person, I tested this with a guy in California. He would hit, I want to play a game, and we linked up and played this game. So I'm going to show it off here if I'm not already. But this was a game where I'm on the left, he's on the right. We're playing networked. And again, we got NAT punch through, so we're kind of like, it's complicated. But we're sending our IPs to each other, basically playing a game at the same time. It's going through a server. So it's the same kind of idea if you're going to have a login through a pinball company. You got a phone app. Click the login button, goes to a remote server, it's going to certify you, it's going to give you all your stats, and then when you finish the game knows about you, the game goes to there, and it sends a data entry and says update this guy's stats, how many games of pinball has he played, what's he doing, this and that. Here's another, I made this game, is called ICBM, where you launch missiles across islands, so you can see like an airplane here. There's a video of this somewhere, let me see. But you can see all these parachutes that I animated and stuff. Yeah, here, I'll show you the demo here. So here's an airplane that comes in and drops all these tanks. They animate and drop down and stuff. This is all stuff I did. This is all my own code and artwork and different things going on. And then you could click those tanks. You could move them around. Someday I may release this game. I don't know. So here's some fire effects on a battleship. This was supposed to be a remake of a game like called Metal Marines from a long time ago. F-16, AI just flying around. Again, during the day I worked on many video games at this point. Pretty good at software engineering. My pinball machine runs on actually the software you're seeing here to run this video game is all what's in my pinball machine right now. Boss Planet, this was a game I wanted to make. It was basically just fight a bunch of bosses, and it's like a speedrun type game, so you can see all these bosses that hit you, fight you. You can run around. It's pretty far along actually. Again, this is in my spare time, just staying up till 3 a.m. doing stuff. So there's some more robots. I'll go through here. Different robots that fly around and shoot. These little spider bot guys will jump onto you. They attach to you and blow up. That's a really complex, complicated problem that I had there, where those guys jump on and attach. There's a lot of science and mathematics going on there just to get something like that in a video game. There's another boss. Anyway, God, so much work. Centipede, this is like a centipede guy I made. Anyway, you probably don't care, but anyway, I made it. It programs, it's procedurally walking around this terrain that's any shape and form, where he can walk around and eat you and stuff. What else? You go back to an old YouTube channel I had, so I had some thing like this is a graphics demo I made. Yeah, this was just the beginning of that game I was talking about, and then you go through, so like here I'm in a house that I was working on, just showing off different features of what I could do in video games. This is 10 years ago. Yeah. So I've just been at this and trying to improve my software and different things. You'll see some plants. Like there's some pretty cool stuff going on here that I was doing at the time. Go back. Here was a laser scanner I built. This is pretty cool. So you throw a laser across any object. This is before 3D scanners really got crazy. This was like the beginning one that somebody made, and then I took their technology idea to do it. So you could see here I 3D scanned like a little fish, and then I don't have the rest of it, but yeah, it was like a little wooden fish that I 3D scanned. So I made my own 3D scanner. That was cool. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna show you some more random stuff at the end, and yeah, let's just wrap this up. So, come on, no, there's more to talk about. Shoot. So I got optos, right? So when we talk about an opto beam, an IR infrared beam that detects a ball that goes through it, right? So here's a chip right here. You plug it in. You plug these two things. This is like infrared beam comes from here, goes to there. The ball goes through. I've had these in my machine going back 2 or 3 years. I've shown them off at trade shows. You know, if you hit the ball, it would register points. So that's not any question. I just haven't really showed that off online to anybody. But those were the chips I used. Springs, yep, I make my own springs. A lot of these toys and different things, sometimes people want $5 a spring if you want to build them in low volume. I'm not going to go buy 1,000 springs just to test and get them at volume, so I'm not going to spend $30 to test all these springs. I don't know, I guess I'm cheap, but anyway, I can build my own springs super cheap. These all just go to different parts, depending on what they are, depending on what the toy is and what it needs. Switches, so this is just an off-the-shelf switch. At the end of the day, it's just like, I don't know if that's like 26 gauge, I don't know. We'll say it's 26 gauge stainless steel, so I can go ahead and, I use my own metal, I cut it. It just goes through a CNC and cuts all these little square pieces out over and over again. Again, I don't have the cost breakdown of that, but you're talking about pennies at this point. And then just attaching it to something similar like this. And then I don't use the gold touch. I haven't had any need for that gold insert there, so I don't even do it. But yeah, there you go. You got a switch. This is not mine, but same thing. Just have my own switches. Gone through a bunch of flipper bat designs. I was originally going to go through something off the shelf. I've also reinvented, obviously, this part right here. I'm doing something completely different. I've tried maybe 15 revisions of this part. I have 2 that work. We're going to see which one I go through at the end of the day. Oh, I'll tell you a really funny story, actually. So at Free Play Florida, the last time I ever showed my game broke, man. The guy from American Pinball, David Fix, got to come by. He flipped a couple buttons and got to saw my ball. The guy from the Pinball Asylum in Florida here, he got to come by with his buddy. They got to hit the ball and see it run, and a couple other things hit around. And actually had my coils running really hot. So when he hit the ball, it went flying, and he was like, whoa, dude, those are really hot coils. Again, I can manufacture coils exactly how I want, however I want to do it. But long story short, so this guy who was handicapped, like you can visibly see, he came in and he was, I don't have a normal apron card thing right there. I'm not planning to use them either. So you could see the switch down on my cabinet, and he went like this, and he was playing with it. My code was really stupid. I think it was on like 100 milliseconds time. So what was happening is he was just going like this, and it was slingshotting. The electrical signal was going back and forth wild, and my flipper went slingshot, machine gun, boom, killed that MOSFET. So that flipper was down. And then again, my part wasn't mature enough that I just showed you. That's a replacement for this. The other flipper wasn't mature enough, and then that came and it didn't break. It malfunctioned in a different way, and then you come home. What are you gonna do? So you're one day into the show, maybe 4 or 8 hours, it breaks. What are you gonna do? I mean, it's not like I had the product ready. I wasn't even sad about it, to be honest. It's just like, here's the game again that I'm trying to sell. Man, you got to look into hiring employees. Anything that details. I learned, deducting self-employment from your income tax, business insurance quotes, looking at warehouse rent. If you're going to calculate a price to the end consumer, you got to know internet sales tax rates. Yeah, there's a lot of other things that I've looked at. Goodbye for the night. So I'm actually thankful that this company took so long to make, because every day I learned something new. The fact that I bought that Foo Fighters game and I've had that, I've really honed in on my design skills. I didn't really know a lot about modes for the longest time, or really just cranking on games and being able to own it and play it a lot. I go out every week and play games for, just the night when they're on free play, and I'll just go to machine, play a game or two, move to the next machine. So you don't really get to, grind into design. But yeah, the fact that this has taken so long, I've really improved my boards, dude. Like, if I would have sold you a game 2 years ago, it would have been junk, dude. I'm really honing in my skills at this point. My gameplay's better, my features are better, my circuit boards are better. I've always seen this as a business opportunity. My opinion, and why I'm even doing this, is I believe I'm creating a product in a brand new market, right? This is not a market. I have no competitors. This is something completely different. What else here? Yeah, I've just been bored, man. I can just sit and watch TV all day, or I can do something, and I just happened to stumble on pinball. I was like, this is kind of cool. And I got really curious, took that deep dive. I'm up to 3 a.m. like almost every day. I used to work in my garage on my back like this. I never owned a pinball rotisserie, and I never had a back box to lift it up and put it on. So if I wanted to work on my playfield, I had to go under, lay on the back, and I'd have to screw in different things under my playfield, man. That was a nightmare, but I was doing that till 3 a.m. Yeah, man, just no ego, man. If someone's out there with information, I don't care who they are. They could be an evil dude, whatever. If they're gonna give me information that I can figure out, and it's actual factual, true information about this world, then I'm gonna soak it in. I'm not interested in just releasing a junky game, so I'm not gonna just rush to market and release this. I want to make sure the machine doesn't break down. I want to create a really fun game. It's not a 100% done deal that I have a company at this point. I have to meet personal expectations on my warranty of what I want to give to customers. I definitely believe this will come at some point, and I'm going to bring a fully working, inexpensive pinball game to market. I have about $4,000 directly tied to R&D. Again, I told you about t-shirt makers and some other things. I have some licensing costs with the music I have on the game and whatnot. I only need to sell a few games at this point to be profitable. I'll build them in my garage if I have to over time. I can tell you my estimated build time is pretty short, honestly. You might think that's crazy, but I just showed you some videos of that working. Again, I outright own all of my technology. I don't own any software licensing. This is a video game engine that I wrote that runs all my stuff. I have ideas to maybe put video modes that are actual video games into my pinball machine, not just these kind of like video modes that don't really offer a whole lot of fun, in my opinion. So anyway, here's my sign off. You can see a bunch of videos of me doing other hobbies and things. There you go, fretboard is complete.
comes another rainy day, and it's bringing skies of gray to make you insane. Sit inside and just rot away in decay. But I'm here to get paid, I'm here to collect all of my wage. CD will not be delayed, and it's gonna blow you away. Digital money 2008.
Hey Dave, so this is actually a guitar I hand built about 10 years ago, right when I got out of college. I was too poor to afford anything. I wanted a custom guitar, and I like the Ibanez necks. They're really thin, but they're a little bit wide, so I just hand shaved this whole thing down. It's a mahogany wings and a maple neck through. Anyway, let's play some fucking Megadeth. Lost in a dream, nothing's what it seems. Searching my head for the words that you said. Tears fill my eyes as we said our last goodbyes. I said with pain I'll be walking away. My body aches from mistakes, betrayed by lust. We lied to each other so much that there's nothing that we trust. Time and again. Was a cold winter's morning, somewhere shortly past 9 a.m. The armored car that they wanted to heist wasn't coming, so instead they wait for the bank. The faithful duo decided to get away, car heavily sedated with thousands of rounds, armor piercing fully automatic weapons, spots of thin poured out on the ground. Baptized in a firefight, hot blood running cold as ice. 44 minutes of target practice, all hell's breaking loose. The forces show themselves onto a firefight with a pocket knife until they stop the Achilles heel. And I'm I can't remember the fucking words of that one. What else do we got here? From behind closed doors, all you live for is taking. That double life of yours has left the whole world shaking. Who are you fooling underneath all the pressure? Can't you hear the people talking? What is it you're after? Turn off your conscience, leave the world outside. Nothing at all could ever make you feel that anything's real, so you just disconnect. You take a mortal man and put him in control. Watch him become a god. Watch people's heads roll. like marionettes, sway to the symphony, sway to the symphony of destruction. Anyway, that's all I got, man. I could play the drums too behind me if you wanted, but